Hi, I'm Mary Schumann. I'm a realtor in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I am stuck in self-isolation for the stay-home Minnesota during COVID-19, and I know a lot of people are. And something that makes me feel really homey is freshly baked bread, and a lot of times people don't have time or maybe are a little intimidated by making it. So instead of talking about real estate today, I'm going to talk about my life in the Twin Cities, and I'm going to show you guys how to make probably the very easiest and most delicious loaf of bread you can make. And the key ingredient here is time. So we have nothing but time on our hands, so check it out. It is coming to you from How to Cook Everything by Mark Bittman. He was a food columnist for the New York Times. He found this method of making bread by interviewing a guy named Jim Leahy, and he published this in the early 2000s. It's just a method, and it took off like gangbusters, and I've been making it ever since, so probably close to 20 years of making this bread. So if you have 3 ingredients: flour, yeast, he calls for instant yeast, but I've always used just regular dried yeast, and salt, and then you'll have some water. And I'm going to post the recipe or a link to the recipe below my video, so you can check that out there. But I'm just going to show you a quick tutorial. Probably the fastest video I'll ever do. Okay, so flour, yeast, and salt. And he says to stir up the first 3 ingredients, the dry ingredients, and then you're going to add your water. So it's 4 cups of flour, 1 more. The beauty of this too is that it only takes a half a teaspoon of yeast, and right now yeast and flour seem to be hard to come by, so if you get a package of yeast, you could make 5 loaves with that. So he's saying a half a teaspoon of yeast, and like I said, I use regular yeast, and I'm going to show you. This is one of 3 jars. If you buy it at Costco, they sell 2-pound bags, and you can just put it in the freezer and it'll last indefinitely, but I've given quite a bit away to neighbors and friends who are also trying to bake bread right now. And then 2 teaspoons of salt. I always use kosher salt. I don't know why, I just like it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those were half teaspoons, so that's 2 teaspoons. And then I think you could do this without a mixer, but I have my ancient and beloved KitchenAid that I use. I got this thing on Amazon, refurbished for $99. Okay, I'm gonna put it on mute. Okay, that's been mixed up. I'm just gonna add the water and mix it till it's kind of shaggy and pulls away from the side of the bowl. And then we'll oil the bowl and set it aside until tomorrow at this time. So it's really all about time. I'll show you the inside of the bowl. It has really pulled away. This is a wet dough, and I'm going to oil the bowl with a spatula. Excuse me while I do this. Okay, the easy way is to use spray. Don't do it the hard way. Into a ball. And I'm just going to cover this and set it on the counter, and I'll see you tomorrow to finish it up. Hey everyone, it is the next day, also known as Sunday in my world, and I am going to show you what happens next with the bread. We're gonna set the oven to the right temperature, and I'm going to put in the proper pot because the pot has to preheat in the oven, and we're gonna shape the bread and let it rest while the pot heats in the oven. They want a scorching hot oven, and they want it to heat for a long time beforehand. So, okay, here we go. All right, look at that bubbly beauty. She's looking good. And this is my KitchenAid mixing bowl, and that's about 3/4 of the way up maybe. So at least 30 minutes in advance of baking the bread, you want the pot in the oven, and you want to set the oven to 450 degrees. And I'm going to show you the pot that I'm using. It's a Dutch oven. I have a metal one. You just want like a heavy duty pot that's substantial size and holds weight. I mean, holds heat, not weight. There she goes. Okay, I'm gonna put some flour. I have this is just a flexible cutting board, but if you have, you know, anything else that you wanna put it on, it has to be separate so that you can flip it into the pot when it's hot. But I'm gonna flour my surface a little bit. And then I'm going to dump this beautiful bubbly mix out. Look at how soft it is and full of air holes, which is what you want. I'm just gonna put a little more flour on here. So it looks like it's gonna be really sticky, but once you touch it a little bit, it is not. And look, I'm not a professional. What you want to do is form a ball, and then we're going to let it rest. And the other thing we're going to do is sprinkle cornmeal over this. You can use flour if you want. Cornmeal makes a nice little pretty crust, and then you're going to cover it with a clean towel, and I'm just going to let that sit there and rest and rise now that the ball is formed while the oven heats. Once the oven is hot, I'll stop back and show you the next step. Okay, this pot is scorching hot. 450 degrees to be exact. Got my dough. Remove the towel. That doesn't look pretty, but it's okay. Back in the oven.